Okay, right. So let me just recap. Remember our inlay? This is the front. Remember it goes round. Remember we cut it to the side. So remember on the back, on the front, the bottom. Don't forget you got to put the inlay as well. So it's going to continue around. Okay. So when these are sewn together, you can see it continues the inlay. Remember that you do it on the back as well. You can see it's on the back. Let me just zoom this out for you. It's on the back as well. See, they're in sections. Because I've done this design and I've actually cut into the side seam, you may forget to put the inlay on the back at the bottom section. Okay, so just remember that you got your top section and then the bottom. You don't have to put an inlay on. Okay, so you just put 1 centimeter seam, but I suggest that you do if a customer puts on weight and she yo-yos up and down. That's the way I do my dresses. So you don't have to, okay? So I'm going to leave that entirely up to you. Now, the next thing if we are going to put an inlay in, we're going to baste it, okay? We're going to, what we call Tailor tack. I've got a proper basting thread, so you can actually type in basting threads. They're quite thick, but they're very weak. See, it's very weak. You can just break it off. And they're just to hold things together temporarily, okay? And I use this when I'm making suits, trousers, waistcoats. I'm going to show you the exact method I use to mark the cloth on both sides. It's called Tailor tacking. Okay, so I'm just going to show you this method, and it's really good. I use this a lot in all my designs, what I do, whether it's tailoring or not. Okay, so just get a long piece of thread. All right, so I'm just going to zoom this back out now, because we need to do the whole section now. Okay, so where this inlay is here, where this seam allowance, remember, from the edge seam, we're going to tailor tack the whole length down. Okay, so to get my needles, I use what we call John James. I'm going to see if I can get it for you. So if you want to buy them, you can. So let me get my needles for you. Okay, these are my needles. They're called in-betweens, and these are called John James. You can get them in England. I'm not sure where you can get them abroad. I'm sure you probably can. So these are size number 2. I used, so number 1 is the biggest needle. Number 2 is the second. So the higher the number goes, the smaller the needle gets. So when I'm hand stitching, very fine hand stitching, I'll use about a size 6, size 7 needle. Okay. So you know, this is a size 2 needle. So this is what I use for tacking, basting and tailor tacking. Okay, you can use whatever needle you feel comfortable with. Okay, I'm just showing you my needles that I use. Okay, so I get my basting thread. You can use any weak thread, didn't have to be basting thread, but this is a special what we call basting thread. You can get this from any place actually online. I use Dugdale's and Richard James in England. If you are in England, you can just phone them up and then get the basting thread. Okay, this is actually from a friend of mine in Italy, so this was sent from Italy, so it's an Italian basting thread. So I'm just going to thread the needle and we're going to double it. So let me just thread my needle. I'm just going to get my glasses sorted now. Okay, fine, there we go. So I've threaded my needle, double thread. Okay, so this is, you can see it's double, so use the double thread. Okay, right, have it quite long. Okay, now I use a thimble. I can't hand stitch without a thimble, so if you do lots of hand stitching, I do suggest you try and get a thimble and practice with a thimble. When you're an apprentice, they used to, like in the old days, they used to like put string, they used to tie up your two fingers there, so you could just get used to just using this. So you're pushing the needle through, and it helps, it aids, it's quicker, and I can't hand sew now without a thimble. So you can get these thimbles. This is an old brass thimble, and these used to be made in England, and actually this is made in England. There's a print on it, made in England. Right, okay. So we were quite famous one day for all things made in England, not anymore, but hey ho. Right, okay, so it's double thread. So I want you to, I'm just going to try and bring this over so you can actually see it. I'm going to just try and zoom in a little bit here, if we can. Okay, you can see where it is now. Okay, right. So I'm going to start here. I'm just going to put on the seam, where that 1 centimetre seam, okay? And I'm just going to okay, and I'm just going to just do quite long stitches. But I don't really count. I'd measure, it could be 3/4 of an inch, an inch. Okay, I'm going to go down, go under the fabric, and bring it back out again up at the top. Okay, and there's your stitch. Okay, just like a run. It's basically a running stitch. Okay, so usually I use a hard table, because it's got fabric on it, it's a little bit difficult for me to. And then that's what you do. Okay, don't be tight with it. Okay, it's quite loose, not too loose, but don't be too taut with it. Okay, so just go along along that seam, along that seam line. Okay, and once you get into the hand of it, you can actually start to do 2 or 3. Just pick it up and just, can you see that now? And as you go along, you can snip it. You can use the scissors, small scissors. As long as you go along, you just snip in the middle. Okay, you just carry on until the edge until we get right down to the hem. Okay, so just make sure, don't forget it's on double thread. Okay, sometimes we'll do longer stitches, some will do a little bit shorter. So as you go along, you can snip it, or you can snip it at the end. I like to snip it as I go along. Okay, so that you do that all the way down to the hem. Okay, I'll get back to you on the next stage. So this is called tailor tacking. Okay, now I've gone all the way down to tailor tacked, and I've cut in the middle the thread, and there we go, and it's gone on to the other side, because the beauty of this, it marks both sides. Sometimes chalk will disappear, especially when you're making suits and things that take a long process. It kind of disappears sometimes with chalk, where the tailor tacks will not disappear. Okay, now what you do is, if you just turn it out, now just lift it up. Okay, and I'm just going to use some smaller scissors, because these scissors are a bit too big, but I will try and use some smaller scissors if you can. So you can see I'm opening it up now, so I'm just prising it open, but don't prise it open too much. You don't want the stitches, so just prise it up a little bit, and then just inside, just use your scissors and just snip the actual threads. Okay, so they come apart. Okay, don't prise it open too much, because you'll lose the stitches. Okay, just enough that you can actually just cut. Okay, so I'll just do that again for you now. All right, just open it up. Okay, just prise it open. Okay, I'll try and zoom in a little bit more. Prise it open and just cut the middle of the stitches. Okay, do that again for you. Okay, just open it up. See, you just open it up, keep it flat on the table, and just open it up, and just be careful you don't cut the fabric. Okay, so I'm just doing that now for you. Okay, the last lot here, and last lot down there, and that's it. There we go. And there we have it. And now, just put there, you can do it there. And see, it's transferred to both sides, okay? Can you see that now? So there's the other side of it. So now we've got tailor tack both sides, so we don't need to chalk mark it. Now, I'm just going to show you another way. So if you don't want to tailor tack it, I'll just show you another way. Okay, this is the back. So there's, I'd usually tailor tack it, but you don't want to do that, it's fine. Just get your ruler on the seam allowance, where that 1 centimetre seam allowance is, okay? Get your ruler on that line, okay? Lift up the fabric and just chalk mark underneath, okay? So just go down and chalk mark it right underneath, okay? So just do that, just carry on down. So get your ruler, lift up, make sure it's actually on the line, okay? Take my glass off this thing. And just chalk mark it on the other side, okay? So you can do it that way. Some tailors do it that way, you know. So my preference is the tailor tacking, because I've got so used to tailor tacking, I just prefer it that way. But if you want to, this is an easier and quicker way if you want to do it this way, okay? You can see it's transferred to the other side. So you choose which way you want to do, okay? So let's move on now. We're going to move on to the next section now. Everything's been cut out, tailor tacked, marked onto the other side. Now, this is the wrong side. So I always do a cross that marks it as the wrong side. So you get into the habit of marking the wrong side of some fabrics, okay?